Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was very, very consistent. A very nice way to count me down.
It was. It
But
was very
it did remind
uncharacteristic of
me,
me.
yeah, not very characteristic of you, and in fact, a lot more characteristic of a certain owl
Yes.
that likes to count down or count how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Hello, everybody.
Speaking of owls,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, geez, they're all on their
man, they're
faces.
all crazy.
Actually,
What is going on with your
they're all
owls? I was gonna
they.
comment on that.
Let me tell you what they are a hoot. That is the best pun I've ever
Oh
made in my whole
man,
life.
that is something right there.
Was that not the best one you've ever heard? Even
That was
detective
great.
even detectives on his face over here. Look at this guy. He's
What did
face
you?
downing hard on the
What did
piano.
you knock over?
Oh, that was my monitor.
Oh jeez.
You
Welcome
don't know
everybody to
me.
Don't Worry Wednesday.
Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. You see,
Welcome
I'm
to
not worried.
technical difficulties. It's gonna be awesome.
All right. Get that picked up.
Oh man, Ash is going to play some Minecraft.
Well, enjoy yourself, Ash.
Yes, that will be fun. We should try
You know
Rec
what?
Room. Is that a Minecraft server?
I don't know. Sounds fun. All right. You guys behave yourselves, or you're all getting a
What did you?
spanking.
How did all of your plushies get? Did like a bomb go off down there or something?
I,
Was it Criminal Idol season 2 like bombing?
I think so. I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Um, Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where I clean up my disaster of a mess that is my desk. Also, the show where we talk about whatever's on your mind.
Yes.
The problems and issues you have outside of my own personal desk issues. Um, so yeah, we aren't professional psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything along those lines, but we're here and we made it. So we have things to share. We've been through our fair share of experiences and struggles and have walked through them. Hopefully we can use that to share it with you guys and help you on your way.
I'm gonna pat you on the
Basically we
head.
just pat them on the head.
I'm patting Ryan on the head with my cursor.
Well, thank you for doing that for me.
You're welcome.
Thanks, buddy. You're the best.
Yeah, sorry.
um Here, trying to give your little mouse a hug with my fingers.
He's gone now. He left.
Jerk.
I know.
So mice are jerks. But yeah, we can be a friend and we can encourage you, because a lot of times you guys already know what to do to solve your problems, but just talking it out clears the mind and gets you back into action to conquer those problems. And sometimes it's not even something you have to change. It's just something you have to persevere through. And having a little bit of encouragement goes a long way. So that's what we're here for. So if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, any topics you'd like to share, anything you're going through, maybe it's some problems with your parents or problems with your children, maybe it's problems with school. There's all sorts of different kind of problems that come up in life, and so we're here to try to help. Feel free to put your thoughts down in the chat. If you have any wisdom you want to share with other people and their topic, feel free to do that as well. It's super appreciated and much welcome. So we love to see you guys in the chat, and that's why we're here, because you guys are awesome. And it's great to be with you all. So don't feel like anybody's going to judge you. If you're new, this chat is not going to judge you. These people are awesome, and we are not as awesome, but we try to be like the chat and be cool people too. So anyhow, that's where we're at. So welcome, and yeah, that's what I got. Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm really good. Did you tell him how to post a topic?
Yeah, you can post a topic.
Okay.
So
I don't remember. I heard that.
Yeah, you guys don't need me babysitting you and how to post a topic. You guys know.
I mean,
you post it in the chat.
It's in the chat.
You can put it in the chat. You can go to our website. You can click on those links that Princess dropped in the chat up above. And she has the link there for the forums. You can put it on the forums. You can also send us an email at bss or dww@bss.studio. If you want to remain anonymous, that's probably the best way to do it. or you can send us a message on Discord if you have our Discords. They have also been given. So feel free to do that. There you go.
Yeah.
Nailed it. First try.
Nailed it. First try.
Yeah. I didn't even need to be reminded this time by Joe.
First try.
Okay, it's not true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways,
it's a good Wednesday.
It is a very good Wednesday. It is nice to be here with you guys. This is one of my favorite parts of the week, just to be able to do Don't Worry Wednesday. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm sure you guys are too, or else you wouldn't be here. If you're not excited, get out of here. Leave. No, I'm just kidding. You can stay. In fact, I demand you to. No,
I demand you to stay.
Yeah, if you can leave if you want to, but if you do, just not as cool as you used to be. But no, I'm kidding.
Let's see what happens when I leave. Will I still be cool?
You, Joe, if you leave, I'll be less cool.
Wait a minute. Wait. So I make you look cool because of my uncoolness? Is that what that is?
No, you make me look cool because you're cool, and so I'm cool by what do you call that?
Proxy?
Proximity. Yeah, I'm cool by proximity. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say, although it's totally not true.
It's super true. Anyways, yeah. How are you guys doing in the chat today? You guys having a good day? Having a good time? Did you do anything fun today? Anything exciting or anything unique or new that you haven't done in a while? You knew that you haven't done in a while. Whatever, Ryan. Let someone else talk.
Unique or new? Unique or new? A crate of great grape crepes. Say that 10 times fast and see how you do. We were having trouble. That's why we put that in the chat. We're like, who would like a crate of great grape crepes?
See? It's so hard. I tried it like 14 times. I couldn't get over it.
That should be the thing they should put it if they have a topic in the chat.
What's that?
Like what's up with your mom in the chat?
Oh.
That instead
the great. Yes, that's right.
Fantastic. All right, well, let's do that. I'm going to go through the list of people who have posted in the past. If you are here, feel free to drop a crate of great grape crepes in the chat. And we'll get to you. So you've got Ian Lam, Ezekiel Games, Dragon, LG, Toast, Immature Success, Joe B, an anonymous person, Amira, Baka, and Steven. I know
two of these people I've seen.
Yeah.
So far.
Also, typing a crate of great grape crepes is also very difficult because your fingers want to totally mess with you when you're trying to type it. You're like, how do I spell this word again? It doesn't spell. All of those words spell weird, differently from each other. Rate, G-R-A-T-E.
G-R-E-A-E-A-T.
Yeah, G-R-E-A-E-A-T. G-R-E-A-E-A-T. Oh, crate is the one with the C-R-A-T-E, G-R-E-A-T, G-R-A-P-E, C-R-A-P-E. There we go.
So, crate.
All of them are A-T-E. All of them are A-E. Except for great.
But
that's great.
Great also is G-R-A-T-E if it's like a grate, like in the sidewalk or something.
Yes.
But if you had great grape crepes like that, they had grates and grapes, you might break your teeth.
You would not be doing so well.
You would not.
A lot of the flavor would be lost in the pain in your mouth. I will say that.
Yes, it would. Create great grape. Nice. Swilk made it even harder. Create great crepes.
Awesome.
Great grape crepes.
So let's do Baka. He's first on the list here, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Let's dive in. Sorry for the obnoxious beginning, everybody. And you're welcome for the obnoxious beginning, everybody. But we're going to do this the right way now from now on. We've got a topic here from Baka. It's titled A Void, which is a good topic name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what it's about. I know we had a little bit about Void in our last Don't Worry Wednesday, but Baka also posted this, I believe, last Wednesday during that. So
yes, Baka, we didn't have a chance to cover this one last week, did we?
No.
We just did forget about it or something. I didn't think so, but anyway.
No, the confusion was with meows. It was meows that we did.
Okay.
Yes.
That wasn't marked properly. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's all good. Cool. All right. Well, there's the link in the chat if you guys want it, if you want to read along. And Princess, whenever you are totally set and ready,
chat is...
feel free to.
Oh, it's totally legit.
Read it for us.
I don't know if it was to rush to fill the void, or failure to even recognize the void, or even both. I rushed to do activities that I enjoyed. I did this so much, I was getting sick of them. So I just sat down in the void, not knowing what caused it, not really sure what caused the void. Not now realizing how much neglect I put on things that I wanted to continue to improve on. Now I feel like I'm rushing to make up on this gap between working on these things. With bowling starting back up, filling out the paperwork for it, I found that I have left that void on the paper. And now put two and two together. Looking back, it feels like I ran from the problem, avoiding it, yet now it has caught up with me. Not having my father with me to help and enjoy the time spent working on things I want to improve. I fall asleep and wake up in this void crying, yet not knowing how to fill the void. I feel like this void is butting into things that have no connection and start to crack and break into the void. I feel like I'm being tortured with no escape, but to act like it's non-existent. It seems I can't find a place to start. Time just seems to be dragging out. I feel that not enough time has passed to completely address the void, yet I want to fill the void. From Baka.
Thank you, Princess. Yeah, Baka, thank you for this topic. This is very well written, very well put, and it's written in such a way that I can feel it, and it's very troubling and like kind of like one of those things. There's this void in it, kind of sucks everything out, and gets into things that has nothing to do with it. So I can relate to this to some degree. I'm sure Joe can relate to it even more than I can, and so I'm excited to see what he's got to say. Joe, are you ready?
Sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna not make you guys feel like I'm wasting your time, and I'm just gonna go over to Joe and see what he's got to say about it.
Well, Baka, first of all, thank you very much for the topic. Again, like Ryan said, this is hugely important, and it was well written because, you know, there are times in our lives where we just feel empty. You know, I've definitely felt that way before. I felt like, you know, and it can almost be physical, like you can feel it physically. Like I can remember a time when I was under a lot of stress and a lot of strain, and it felt, honestly, I was just like laying there, and it felt like there was like scoops being scooped out of my chest and abdomen. It was just like this emptying out of my heart and soul. Like I just remember laying there and being like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But in the midst of that much despair and emptiness, you know, like it can be paralyzing. And in those moments, you know, the things that we thought were fun, the things that used to be fun, aren't fun. You know, things don't taste as good. Things aren't as bright. It's weird. Like all of our senses kind of get dulled a little bit. And, you know, our passions kind of lessen a little bit. You know, they go down. And it can be a really tough spot to be. So the question is, what do you do about it? And one thing that, well, there's a saying I've always heard. We all have a God-shaped hole in our lives. We all have a God-shaped hole in our hearts. And what that means is like a lot of the times the void we feel can only be filled by God. But then, interestingly enough, I've said this, and then I've come across times in my life when I even feel separated from God. And then what? You know, like praying doesn't do any good, or meditating on scripture doesn't seem to do any good. You know, all these things, and you just feel, you know, like alone and empty. I know how that is. And sometimes, you know, one of the best things we can do is find a friend to talk to. You know, and Baka, I know in your case, there are friends that you can reach out to on Discord. You can reach out to me on Discord. And, you know, I'm sure there are other people that you can reach out to too. But one of the things that I found when I had this experience was, you know, I noticed you talked a lot about, okay, you sat down in the void, not knowing what caused it, not really sure what caused the void. Now realizing how much neglect I put on things I wanted to improve on, and I feel like I'm rushing to make up the gap between in working on these things. And it can be really stressful because it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm behind. I got these projects, I got these things I got to do, and I got to work on them. So I'll give you an example. I was working on a project, a music project, and it was behind, but usually they are, to be honest. even when I'm not facing the inner turmoil, right? But it just kind of compounded because I was going through this time of deep pain and, you know, emptiness. And I knew the things I had to do. I knew that I had to get to work on this. I knew that I had to get moving, but I couldn't get myself to do it. And then, you know, and then that just makes you feel more depressed and stressed because now it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even get myself to do this, you know, and you just kind of spiral downward. I even got to the point where I had stopped eating because I just didn't feel like eating. I would like to say I was fasting for like, you know, some sort of benefit or spiritual gain, but it was just, just wasn't eating because I didn't feel like it. And anytime I ate, I didn't feel good afterward. And a friend of mine pointed out, he's like, you know what? If you're knocking on the door of depression, you probably need to force yourself to eat. Because not eating when you're already stressed and depressed is only going to put your body under more distress, and it's going to make it worse, right? It's kind of the same thing where any kind of activity that makes a downward spiral, it, you know, it makes it harder. But here's the thing. I found, it's not a magic bullet, but I found a way to cope. And I found a way to lessen the blow a little bit. And what I ended up doing, so on this music project, one of the things I was doing was playing drums. And so I knew I had drums that I needed to record. I needed to practice. I needed to do all these kinds of things with drums. And I just didn't feel like it. It didn't sound any fun. And then I'd feel bad for not doing it, right? And I was in this position. So what I did was I reconnected myself to why I enjoyed playing drums in the first place. Not playing drums on this particular project, but just years ago when I fell in love with drumming and when I fell in love with learning how to play, I reconnected with that. And what I did, there was this, I learned to play drums by listening to music in my headphones and playing along with it. And there was this one album that I had played along to time and time again as a teenager and as I was learning drums, and it really taught me a lot. And so what I did was I found that album on Spotify and I just sat down at my drums, I hit play, and I played along with it. And it was great. I didn't feel pressured to play drums. I didn't feel stressed because of the weight of the project that I needed to be working on. And it reconnected me to that love, to that moment where all it was me enjoying playing. Not working on playing, not working on something new, which I do enjoy. It's just when you're in a pit of despair, it's hard. But when I just did it just for fun, it was way better. The pressure was off. I was relaxed. I had a good time. I'm sure my blood pressure went down like a lot, you know, because the album's like over an hour long and I just played it straight through it. I had sweat, just, it was crazy, but it was a blast, you know, and this drummer hits pretty hard. So it was so it was a lot of loud playing. So if it's bowling for you, I noticed that was one of the things. You know, there are other things I'm sure that you're into. And if you can reconnect with the time when you were doing it just for the sheer joy of doing it, without the pressure of trying to complete it for something, trying to do something for, you know, a project in my case, that time that you spend can be really, really helpful. Now, it doesn't cure it, of course, but it relieves it for a time. And there's relief for it afterward as well. Another thing I would recommend is, you know, sometimes in cases like these, it helps find a counselor. I have found a counselor. My first appointment is Friday. It's pretty cool. But even still, I had an appointment with a priest today. And that was really good. And just, I mean, now he's not a professional counselor or anything. He counsels a lot of people, you know, but he's not a professional. But to sit and talk to somebody, now I respect him. You know, I respect his office. I've sat down with him many times. He's the guy I normally go to confession to. And, you know, so we know each other and he knows my situation. And, you know, so I was able to talk to him and just make sure that my mind was lined up with my belief system. Right? And that was really, really helpful. To talk to somebody who you respect, that you're pretty confident will give you affirmation and or loving counsel to help you improve, but without judgment, right? That's one of the keys. And that's one of the keys that, you know, I remember I heard a quote from a psychologist one time. He said, you know, if there were more people out there that could listen without judging, then all of us therapists would be out of business. Because that's really what we do. You know, they listen without judging. But then, see, when they're trained like that, they can read between the lines to find out, oh, okay, here, you know, let's attack this point here. Let's figure out this point. Here's some action steps, you know. But mostly, I remember when I was seeing a psychologist after my nervous breakdown in college, that was the main thing I remember him doing, was just he listened and he didn't judge me. He didn't put all, because I judge myself. But he didn't place all those judgments on me. He just listened and said, no, that's not wrong. It's not wrong to feel that way. And I'm telling you, Baka, right now, what you're feeling, it's not wrong. It's there. It's something you're going through. And I know it hurts. I know it hurts because I've been there. Maybe not exactly in the same place, but I was really, really relating to what you were writing because I've been in a similar position. And man, I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you a magical pill that would just make it all better. But as, you know, as my normal advice would go, try, it's not easy, but try to get a decent amount of sleep at night. I don't know how you're sleeping. I know when I spend time in the void like this, I don't sleep hardly at all, and I already have bad sleeping habits, and it just gets worse, you know. And then, so make sure you're eating, make sure you're sleeping, make sure you're drinking water. And if you can do some kind of physical activity, sounds like you're going to be doing some bowling. I drummed for an hour. Tell me that's not physical. If you try to tell me that's not physical, I will prove you wrong. But, it doesn't have to be going to the gym and pumping weights and stuff, It doesn't have to be going for a 10K run. It doesn't have to be the One Punch Man workout, which is 100 squats, 100 sit-ups, and 100 push-ups, and a 10K run every day.
Wait, you said One Punch?
The One Punch Man. I just recently started watching One Punch Man.
Okay, because his workout should really just be one punch.
Well, that's his attack.
I know.
Right?
I know. He always wins with one punch. That's his thing.
Right.
But I'm just saying, if it's a one punch workout, you should just be like, okay, done.
Yep. No, he said, I think it was in the first episode, he was like, every day, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10K run every day. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, whoa. So you don't have to go that crazy. You can go for a walk. You can go for a hike. And the priest today, as I'm facing what I'm facing, he told me some really poignant advice too. He said, whatever you're into, do it. If you're into hiking, go hiking. If you're into nature, go spend some time in nature. If you're into frisbee golf, go play some frisbee golf. If you're in, whatever you're into. And surround yourself with friends. Surround yourself with people who love you. And Baka, I know there are people who love you. I know that you have IRL people who love you, and I know you have people here that love you, and I know you have people in Discord that love you. And you can surround yourself with people in all those categories. And talk to them. And I'm sure they'd be happy to hear from you. I know I would be. And, yep. So, but then the real key thing, when you're doing something you enjoy, do it simply because you enjoy it. And what that does is it takes all the pressure off of the thing. And it helps you to remember how to enjoy yourself in those moments. And if you're a praying person, pray. If you're in the void and you're a praying person and you feel separated from God, still pray. At least try. And it's interesting because as I was going through this time period, I know I've probably talked for a while. One last thing before I turn it over to Ryan. If you pray, if you're a praying person, if you're a religious person, and you find yourself in the void like this, you find yourself in an empty spot and you're having trouble connecting with God even, because that can be pretty scary and disheartening, because it's like, like my lifeline gone, like seriously. I remember I sat down with a friend of mine and he said, well, with what you're going through, you're suffering from basically like a mental injury. Like it's not like an injury of the brain, but it's an injury of thought, right? All this stress, all this pressure, right? It's basically like an injury. And, you wouldn't expect somebody, if they had a broken arm and they were in constant pain, they'd have a hard time in meditative prayer connecting with God, because all they'd be thinking about is the pain in their arm, right? And it's the same way here. If we are mentally in anguish, that can just create too much clouded up space in our brain, so it makes it tough to connect. So I don't know. I know I've said a lot. I've talked a lot about a lot of different things. Hopefully you're able to grasp a little something out of there. And I'm going to turn it over to Ryan to clean it up, because he's good at that. So, Ryan?
No, you did great.
Take it away.
Sure. I'm gonna talk about a couple of things here. First, I'm gonna address a chemical issue. So I'm gonna go a little bit scientific on you, Baka. Okay, it's not super scientific. You'll get it. So you said here, I don't know if it was to rush to fill the void, or a failure to even recognize the void, or even both. I rushed to do activities that I enjoyed. I did this so much I was getting sick of them, so I just sat down in the void, not knowing what caused it. So here's something that's interesting. I haven't talked about this in a little while, and Baku, you might know this, but I'm gonna, if you do, I'm just gonna remind you of it. So the brain, it only has, you can eat food, right? And you turn that into nutrition. Some of that turns into chemicals for your brain, right? That's how we get everything, right? When we eat. So it's important to keep on eating, of course. But here's something interesting. When you encounter or give yourself over to too much entertainment, right? What happens is you basically eat through all of the chemicals that produce joy in your brain, right? And when that happens, you feel a desire that says, oh, I need more, but I don't enjoy it. And I can't get what I'm looking for from anywhere. So it feels like not only are you missing what you once had, you're also craving it more. So the impact of the void that you're feeling is increased by your desire to fill the void, right? So you have this natural desire to feel joy, but your brain doesn't have enough of the chemical, so the desire grows even bigger, right? So I just want to say, this is what you did. You said, so I just sat down in the void, not knowing what caused it, not really sure what caused the void. So I think that was a good answer to that, actually. Sitting down in the void is important for recovery, to rebuild up some of those chemicals. But there's also something else that happens when you overstimulate your brain. For a long period of time, if you consume too much entertainment, your brain actually, it's kind of hard to say because I'm not super well in the field, but basically the parts of your brain that can fire up, right? Neurons are constantly moving through your brain. A lot of those pathways close down. And so your brain is not as functional as it could be. When you separate yourself from those types of entertainment, the ones that kind of just feed you rather than you having to do something to achieve them, you kind of just are fed the entertainment. So that can be like, watching a movie, it could be playing games, and it can be many other things that sort of just people give you the entertainment. The entertainment's already there for you to consume. This includes even eating. Some people eat for entertainment. I know that I have in the past and will do in the future. It's an enjoyable act. But at some point, right, your brain starts shutting down. Because when you're overstimulated, your brain says, overstimulation for far too long, I'm going to have to close down. I'm going to shut down because it's too much. So it pulls back, right? And so it cuts off a lot of your functioning pathways. All right? And so in order to get those pathways up and working again, you have to take time doing really either of these things. One, sitting in the void and allowing yourself to come to enjoy the little things again without it being something that someone is feeding you, right? Things that you don't necessarily think are enjoyable. Just like, for example, sitting down in nature, for example, and just looking at it and waiting in it and saying, okay, this means nothing to me. All right. Yeah, I'm not really, this is not entertaining. I'm just sitting here. I'm bored. I'm so bored. An hour goes by. You go like, oh, that was a cool butterfly. Yeah. Okay, nice butterfly. Another hour goes by and you're like, huh, there's a piece of grass. It's kind of weird how this grass, like you rub it one way and it's like, it's nice and smooth, and you rub it the other way and it's like grainy. Man, that's weird that it grows like that. Although I guess like palm trees kind of grow. See, your mind is starting to wander again, right? And in that wandering, you start to entertain yourself. You start to allow yourself to work for entertainment, right? Because that's ultimately the goal. If you can find things that you can achieve joy from, but they aren't gratifying at first, they take work to be gratifying. They take a lot of effort. And that's why some video games are really good. Some video games, they're not enjoyable until you put hours and hours into them. And then you finally complete something. You're like, oh, this is good. This is what I'm talking about. Right? Sometimes that video games can be like that. But there are many other things in the world, like crafting in real life, like building something by yourself or with a friend, even building something made of wood, building a motor, building something creative, sculpting something, taking wood and cutting it into pieces until you got yourself a little sculpture. There's tons of things in life where you can work on them and receive the joy from them upon their finish, right? And those things help turn back on those pathways, because as you struggle to go through the process of creating something that's difficult, or go through the process of like exercise, for example, exercise is not joyful until you look back on it and are proud of what you've done, right? So exercise is a great example of that as well. When you're working towards something, what it's doing is it's forcing those pathways that shut down back open, because now it needs them again, and it's not just being fed enjoyment. You have to work for it, and that increases the joy by like tenfold. Because as well as I do, Baka, when you work hard for something, the joy that you receive from it is great, right? And so sometimes it's okay to enter that void. It's okay to be bored. In fact, boredom is a reaction that is one of those things that is counterintuitive, because when you feel bored, it makes you think, oh, I need to be doing something that's fun. But the truth of the matter is, when you're bored, a lot of times it's your brain saying, we've had too much fun. Now I don't know how to enjoy myself when I'm not having fun. How do I enjoy myself when I'm not having fun? If you can't enjoy yourself when you're not having fun, when you're not doing something that's entertaining, that's the issue. That's the issue, right? The issue isn't that you're not doing something fun. The issue is that you can't enjoy yourself when you're not entertained, right? So I think you've already started to take those right steps, Baka. And that is you have entered that void and you sat down in it. If you felt bored, that's okay. If you feel that desire of like nothing is enjoyable, that is okay. Because that's just your own brain expressing itself and saying, hey, let's pull back. I'm shutting down here. I've had overexposure for too long, and I need to pull back. It doesn't happen with just entertainment. Same exact chemical response happens to overexposure of certain kinds of drugs, where your brain has too much of something and it starts to pull back. It starts to shut certain parts of pathways down. And ultimately it leaves you chemically in your brain, chemically starved, and nothing feels right anymore. Nothing seems joyful, right? That can happen with alcohol. That can happen in like really immediately with heroin, and all sorts of different things, right? And so we have to find the balance there, right? It's great to have fun. It is good to seek entertainment and to enjoy it. People put that stuff out there and it is great. But if you can't enjoy yourself, if you don't like yourself when you're not being entertained, then there's something in the root. There's a root of the problem right there, right? That needs to be fixed before you go and chase off what you can't get anyways, which is joy and different things. Now, that being said, I think it's great that you joined the bowling, not boiling team.
The boiling team. Probably. Wow.
Yeah, you guys probably don't boil a whole lot.
What do we do? Yeah, maybe hot tubs?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I would join that team. Boom, I'm in. Sign me up. Join. Oh, dang. I'd love that.
We'd join the boiling team. Yeah.
Man. Okay. I'm glad you joined the bowling team because, I mean, that's a sport. And you aren't fed the results. That's results you have to fight for. You have to practice and you have to bowl. And that can be fun, just being with some friends and bowling. But it's good that you're getting back into something. And I think what Joe said is, if you're really trying to get back into something, think about the things that cause you to start doing it. Find that childish joy, you know, that sense of wonder, that sense of newness to it, because it's been the same all along. It's just how much you can enjoy it. And sometimes you just have to reframe your mind around it and get back into it. So I think that's great. And you know what? I think that's good for now. I did have something else I thought about talking about, but I think I'm just going to stop right there and give it back over to Joe for now and see if you've got anything that you want to add on to that.
I do. I'm going to take a cue from the chat. Actually, we've had some good stuff in here. Magician Jester had some good stuff. When you're suffering from emotional pain, you should stop doing the things you do and just rest. The pain sucks out the joy of the activity and just burns you out. And this makes you spiral further into sadness and depression when you realize the things you do aren't fun anymore. It's insidious. It makes you question your abilities and achievements. And you're totally right.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I think what Ryan was talking about fits right in with that. It's like, hey, just sit. Stop. Just stop and look around. Be bored. Pursue boredom.
I love that line. Pursue boredom. Oh man, that's a good tagline. I love it. I should put that on that's my Twitter like profile message. Pursue boredom. What are you in?
Pursue boredom.
I'm entertainment. That's my specialty of field. Oh, nice.
I wonder
Pursue boredom.
I wonder if I'll get on the Static P quotes board for that one.
That's a good one.
Not. Whatever. Maybe. Doesn't matter. But yeah, but that's a really, really good point. How long do you have to sit there? And I love that you were, I love that you were talking about a blade of grass, because that's exactly what was popping into my head. Like, look at a blade of grass. And just look at it.
Would you look at it?
Would you look at it?
Sometimes all you got to do is look at it. Say, would you look at it, and take a look at it.
Yeah, right.
Sorry. Anyways.
Would you look at this? There was a time when rocks were my thing.
Rocks are cool.
I would go, and usually it was like beaches. And part of it was because my brother lived up in the UP on Lake Superior, and there are just tons of beaches and rocks and stuff like all over the place. And I would just pick them up and I would look at them, and I would look at the crazy cool patterns in there, and I would just enjoy it. Interestingly enough, after that, I took a geology course, and that took it a little bit deeper, but it took me too far because then I lost the enjoyment, because then I was thinking about all the science behind it. And that's good to know too. And if you're into that and you want to pursue that, great. But for me, I just enjoyed looking at rocks, you know? And yeah, so I mean, that's the thing. Saule says, picking up something productive to do, I have found has helped me to get out of the whole over entertainment. It does not have to be homework. It can be a side project that you put off for a while. That's great advice as well. Like something productive, something that actually is accomplishing something, but it's not, but I would also make sure it's something that you're kind of doing on your own time. You know, take the deadline off of it. Because the point here isn't to cause yourself stress. Right. When you're there, because when you've spiraled down this far, you have stressed yourself out enough. Right. So, but if it's something that's productive that you enjoy, that's great. And that's why the drumming thing fit in really well with me, because I hadn't practiced my drums in a long time. And so I needed to keep my abilities up, right? You got to practice in order to do that. But I just wasn't finding any joy in it. I wasn't finding, and to think about playing drums, it connected too close to the project that I was stressed out about being behind on. And so anytime I thought about playing, it would stress me out. But then when I just played for the sheer enjoyment, it was a lot different, and it was a lot better, and it was productive because it was practice time that I needed to have, right? But it wasn't done with the stress involved. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of things that you could do. I've talked about, making origami flowers. In fact, I'll show you. Here's my box.
Boom.
There were 50 in here. Now there's 49. That one fell out.
I thought there was going to be a story attached to that. No, that was a short story.
That was number 50, actually. This one's number 50.
All right. Whoa. Nice. You got leaves on there too.
Yep.
And the stem. That's cool. Wow. Dang.
So you do it for a long time and you get good at it, right? But, and that's kind of been a little bit of therapy for me, something that is not, it doesn't stress me out. It's not, I don't have a deadline on anything. I'm not, it's just something. I enjoy detailed, precise work with my hands. That's kind of one of the things I'm into. I was a band instrument repairman for a long time. That's tiny little mechanical parts, very intricate, very small tolerances. Everything's very precise.
Do you like untying really ridiculous knots?
No.
Okay. I'm just curious. I do.
You do?
But I don't enjoy doing little tiny mechanical things. So I was like, I wonder if there's a difference between the two. Mm-hmm. There apparently is.
Yep. There must be.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, but if you can find something like that where, and that's the thing, making those flowers, it is productive. It created a box full of flowers, and I've had, I think it might've been Princess who told me, I could take them I could take them to like a church or something, or I could take them somewhere and like have people, just have them out there. If somebody wants one, they could take one because they are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would be people that would like them, but it created something I find to be beautiful. And it took me some time, and it took me some effort. And it was stuff that I like doing, that small, intricate, precise work with my hands. So it just kind of fit well. And read your own interests. And if you can find something that fits into those interests, that, like Soleil said, was productive, but not stressful, that can be really helpful. And I also want to stress the importance of feeling your feelings. What do I mean by that? You're in the void. You feel empty. Experience it. Rather than fight it. That causes more and more pain when we fight it. But if we can learn to accept it and be like, yes, this is how I feel right now. Not like, yes, but like, okay, I feel this way right now.
Yeah.
And then pay attention. I talked about, feeling like my chest was being scooped out of me. That's because I sat in that moment and I thought, and I just focused in on what it felt like. And I let myself experience it. Because, we live in waves. We live, where we have down times and up times. And if there were no down times, the up times wouldn't be as sweet. If all it was one up time after another, boom, 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 then that would just get dull. So when you let yourself experience the valley, the next peak will be that much more beautiful. And it is coming. I promise. I promise. Because nothing here lasts forever. This pain you feel, this void you feel, this emptiness, it will not last forever. Sooner or later, something's going to happen. You might not even realize what happened, and you will find yourself back on an upswing, and you'll find yourself back up on top. But if you never took the time to experience the valley, that time up on the mountain won't be as beautiful. And then what happens is you start to find beauty in the valley too. Mm-hmm. Even in pain. Ryan's talked a lot about that. And so I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan before I just keep going and going and going. So Ryan, have at it.
All right. No, I mean, I just want to say, everybody in the chat, thanks for posting all of those great things. A lot of great suggestions and relating to one another. I think that's great. So you guys are awesome. And yeah, I think, as Joe was getting at, I think just as anything, you can find joy in anything. But you can live your life thinking, oh, this pain is going to last forever and everything is negative and etc. Or you can start to look at things for their beauty, even when you're in those spots, even when things aren't going your way. You can find things that maybe they're not going your way. That doesn't mean they're bad. It's always a challenge. Everything is probably, I would say, constantly challenging our perception of things. Like not that it's bad to have one perception or the other, but as humans, we ought to be open to changing our perceptions and constantly quizzing ourselves on our own perception, right? Because if we can do that, then we can be open to finding the beauty during the suffering. A lot of times when we're suffering, our mind just closes down because, you know, we don't want to be there. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of just shell up and say everything is bad, everything is against me, and it's no fair. And it's like, you're probably right about it. Probably right about that. But it's not, for example, Baka, you didn't do anything wrong to get where you are right to get where you are right now. You didn't do anything evil to have to experience what you're experiencing, right? It feels like everything is against you and you didn't do anything to deserve it. Or maybe you think you've done bad things and this is karma coming back to you, but ultimately, even the most perfect person in the world had a lot of bad things happen to him. And her. So, but anyways, I think, you know, karma does exist in some ways, but just because you're experiencing something bad, right, doesn't mean you did anything to deserve it. Sometimes that's just where you are. The important thing is to look at where you're at and find out, what can you use it for? What can you do in this moment? I said many times, you know, we aren't made to be perfect and we can't live perfect lives. We were made good. And that's good enough. And we can lead good lives, regardless of whatever happens to us. And in fact, it seems that the more that happens to you, the more glorifying and more incredible the reward. Mm. It seems like, you know, if you have to go through a struggle for something, right? As we talked about earlier, when you fight to achieve something, the joy is better. The trials that you go through to get there are more fulfilling. The reward at the end product, everything is generally better than something you didn't have to work for at all. And that's life. Life is like that. Life in general is going to be a struggle. And so you can take those and just say, this is great. It's great, and it doesn't feel great, but it is great. You know, I've said many times, you know, you can't love if suffering doesn't exist in the world. If suffering doesn't exist in the world, then you're not really free to express your love, because you are the idea of doing something against what you want to do so that someone else can enjoy themselves, or the idea of going through pain for another person, dying for another person, you know, whatever it is, that whole option is taken away from you if suffering doesn't exist in this world. And so your love then becomes limited, a limited version of what it could have been. Instead, we live in a world that allows you to do that, right? So when you're suffering, it's important to look at suffering not as painful and what's the word? Like it's not going to give you a reward. Looking at it like it's pointless and painful and just terrible. It's important to reposition our perceptions. Look at things and look at suffering and saying, you know what? I'm grateful that I can suffer in this world. And there are times where you're looking at it and you're like, well, what am I suffering for? Because when you say, you know, love is beautiful, and so that's worth suffering for. But right now I'm suffering without even loving anything. I'm just suffering. I'm like, not even. Then this is a great time to do two things. One, figure out what you want to suffer for and point yourself in that direction so that your suffering can aid you in it. What are you loving? Because no matter what, you know, they say, no matter what in this life, you're going to be worshiping something. Mm-hmm. You're going to be spending all your time on something. And sometimes you're like, I don't even know why I spent all my time on that. I don't even like it. Why did I do that? Well, a lot of times because you didn't think about it. And that's all right. But if you want to suffer with meaning, because there's a lot of pointless suffering. But if you want to give suffering a meaning, find something to give your suffering over to. make your suffering count for something. You know, and it can be bowling. It can be a person. It can be God. It could be yourself. In fact, I would really encourage you to build yourself upon your suffering, because that's great. You know, one thing that I do is I say a quick prayer. And I just say, you know what, God, thank you so much for giving me this life. You created me out of love. And out of love and respect for you, I'm willing to suffer to show you that I love you back. And that applies to everything in life. For me, that's one prayer that I use to help me through suffering, right? Here's another really great one. If you're into, you know, if you're spiritual, you can say this. God, make my suffering, take my suffering and make it a gift to someone. There's someone out in the world, I don't know them, but you do. And they're not going down the right path. So in whatever way you can, redeem my suffering. Just as God redeems Jesus' dying on the cross for us, just as he always redeems our suffering. And he shares that suffering experience with us. Take that suffering moment and redeem it for someone I might not ever meet. But God, you know the person. For that one lost soul, may the suffering be for them. That can compel you. If you really, truly believe in that, say, God, for this one lost soul, for that one lost soul, I will suffer to get them into heaven. And when we get into heaven, I'll be like, yeah, that's the guy. I fought tooth and nail, suffered so hard for that person. That person doesn't even know. And I've shown my love for them so beyond loving just who's in front of me, loving someone that God chose. That's a beautiful thing. And if you don't think this is a good idea, there's a miracle about this where a guy, he is a bishop now, and he had someone praying for him when he was 13 years old or something along those lines. No, he was older. I think he was starting to enter college. He's starting to enter college, and all of a sudden, in a dream, he had a vision of a young girl, and God said, this person is praying for your redemption, basically. And he kind of woke up, and he had a huge conversion, and he eventually got on his road to become a bishop. He had all of these accolades, everyone saying like, oh man, you're so good. You have such a good way of thinking about things, and you've helped this area of the church out so much, blah, 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 all these accolades. And the guy would always be really humble and say, well, it's not me. It's that girl who prayed for me. I don't even know who she is. I just remember it's engraved into my brain. I can't get her image of her face out of my head. One day, many, 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 many years later, he happens to see her face. He went off to a seminary to teach some nuns. And there before him, one of the nuns was this girl. And so he was like, whoa. He stopped in the middle of what he was doing, and he couldn't speak for like a full minute. He regained composure, finished what he was doing, and then said, hey, can I speak to you? And so eventually he started to talk to her, and he said, hey, you know, like, he asked her a bunch of questions. And then one of the questions he asked, because she was working really hard on basically dealing in the farm, and she was doing a ton of farm chores that were not fun. And he said, well, what do you do to get yourself through those? Because those can't be fun. And she says, oh, I don't like them at all. But I just pray to God to say, you know, offer up these sufferings to that one lost soul that you have chosen. And he said to her, would you like to know who that one lost soul is if you ever had the choice? And she said, no, God knows. That's all that matters. And he walked away, never telling her. But I think that story is really powerful and really crazy. And what's also crazy about that story is it transcends time. because when he saw her face, it had already been 10, 20 years since it was ingrained in his head. But when he saw her, she was at the same age as the image in his head, which means God was listening to her then and had his conversion in the past, or listened to her and then had his conversion. Very cool, very cool. And this isn't the only story like it. So if you wanna compel yourself to go through suffering with a purpose, because I'll tell you what, it can be really hard to go through suffering if you don't have a purpose. If you don't think like you're doing for anything. You know, Baka, I know you had your father pass. You can use it to help him in his, moving forward towards God and heaven and all of that. You know, you can pray for the dead. So if you don't have a purpose for suffering, suffering becomes unbearable. But if you can give yourself a reason to suffer, you will go, all right, God, let's do it. Bring it on. I'm going to suffer so hard right now. Let's go. Bring it. You know, like, let me suffer. I want to suffer. Because suddenly your brain is fixated on the beauty and what suffering can do. Of course, suffering helps us in so many ways. We suffer our way through basketball to be good basketball players. We suffer our way through anything to get good at it. So if you can find purpose, Baka, for your suffering, whether it be physical in the physical world, whether it be in the spiritual world, or anything, if you can point yourself with that suffering, man, you will not be sad that you feel like you're in this void. You will not be sad that you feel in the void. You will not be despairing. Instead, you will be like, this is the void. Yes. If this is what I have to do, let's do it. I'm taking it on. This is fine. And that compels you forward, and it is a beautiful thing. So to everybody, obviously not just Baka, but I implore you to find purpose for your suffering beyond yourself, if you can. But even if it is just a selfish sort of goal, selfish not being a bad thing, but towards yourself, that's fine too. But if you find purpose for your suffering, I think that really helps a lot. But anyways, that's what I got. I just wanted to add that. I guess I'm the host.
You are the host.
Yeah. So
yeah, that was beautiful.
Do you have anything?
I appreciate that. No, I don't have anything else.
All right. Cool.
That's a great place to.
Perfect.
Exclamation point on it.
If you guys aren't spiritual, if any of you aren't spiritual, I didn't mean to offend. Obviously, sometimes that just kind of comes up because that's my experience, and I'm just sharing my experiences and experiences of others that I've heard of or know. So apologize, but the truth remains. If you can find purpose for your suffering, it makes suffering not just bearable, but something you want to go through, even if it's painful.
Yes. Listen to A Reason for Suffering from the Criminal Idols season 1 by Static P.
Whoever that is.
Your name is on the screen, dude.
Don't tell him to look there. No, it says Rising Well. For me. It says Static P for everyone else.
It does, yes. I'm looking at it.
Man, I'm like Batman here. You know, I'm trying to be Bruce Wayne. Oh, shoot. I just missed that one up, too. Guys, Bruce Wayne is not Batman. I don't know. No. I don't know who Clark Kent is. I don't know who's Superman. I don't know Peter from Spider-Man. I mean, or whatever.
Yes. Or Doctor Strange from Doctor Strange. Oh, wait, that's right. Actually his name.
I don't know Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. So anyways, I don't know Two-Face or whatever.
Right.
Anyways, that's the extent of my superhero knowledge.
Yes, and if you can't find a reason for your suffering, pursue boredom.
There you go. Pursue boredom. I love it.
Pursue boredom.
We spent like 40 minutes on that. I'm sorry, guys, if you're impatient with me rambling. But I hope that it was, if nothing else, entertaining.
Mm-hmm. That's
but
good.
I hope it was helpful. And we'll aid you in your life. So I'm gonna go down this list again. I know that. Well, I see a couple of people here, so I'm gonna go down this list. If you are here, feel free to drop some weird tongue twister that you want me to say in the chat. Okay, don't think about it too long though. Ian Lam, Ezekiel Games, Drakon, LG, Toast, Immature Success, Joby, Anonymous, Amira, and Stephen.
Baka, thank you. It's our pleasure to talk about your topics. But thank you for posting the topic, and thank you
very much.
Thank you for bearing your heart a little bit, because I know that takes guts. That's hard to do. And to share it's beautiful and it's helpful for others as well. So thank you, Baka. Oh yes, and Meow posted a topic as well. But yes, Steven is here. Hey, Steven. Steven, you're awesome.
Tara, you're hilarious.
I'm gonna create some great grape crepes.
You are?
I'm gonna create a crate for great grape crepes. And then I'm gonna create a grate for the crate of great grape crepes.
You have to create a crate for your crate for your great grape grapes.
Create a crate. Create a grate for the crate of great grape grapes. Crepes.
There you go. Good luck.
Oh my.
All right. All right. So, the first on the list is Steven.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Ooh. Coolio. Oh, that link didn't work for me.
It didn't? I'm going to check it.
Oh.
It took me to questions, topics from the live stream.
Oh, that's fine. It's right. It's the second topic. Right?
Yep.
No.
Questions in my head.
No, because the topic on the thing says a weird middle ground.
Oh.
I think it just auto-corrected over what I was typing. Because that was the previous one that Steven had.
Okay.
There it is.
See, when I write them in the chat, sometimes if someone has a previous topic, it'll put that one instead because it's trying to autocorrect for it.
Google's thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially when you switch browsers and stuff, man. I'll tell you.
Well.
Don't get into
it. Okay, Joe. That was a hard time for her. I don't think you want to bring it up.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I love you, princess.
I love you too.
Awesome.
Forgive me for being insensitive and a jerk.
You're forgiven.
Thank you.
But this yes, time. You are insensitive jerk. So no, I don't think I would have been able to say forgiven. I would have been like, you're not that. I can't forgive you for something you aren't. Forgive me, Father, for I'm the best person ever. You're forgiven. Wait, what? Sorry, what? Yes, I'm the best person ever.
Oh my!
I did it. Okay. This is from Steven. It's titled "Questions in My Head," and Princess is going to do the honors of reading it for us.
I'm someone who thinks a lot. I spend a lot of my free time just thinking because I love it. Lockdown has given me a lot more time to think than I used to have. I enjoy thinking about topics and expanding my thoughts about that topic. And so I thought I might share some of my thoughts of mine as a topic for Don't Worry Wednesday. One of my favorite topics I think about is saving a person's life with a simple smile or hello. The idea is so fascinating to me, and I enjoy it so much, I constantly come back to it when I'm bored. To me, it's so powerful to think that you can save one person's life by simply stepping into their life with a smile. The power to change a person's thought from a long-term solution from a short-term problem that they can never take back and aren't able to regret it because, well, they physically can't. I feel like many people don't realize the power a simple smile can do to a person. I've heard stories about people's friends taking their own and writing a note about how if one person smiled at them, maybe they would have stopped. It's both scary and amazing to me. It's amazing to be able to save someone's life. And honestly, I kind of hope that I can work towards being someone who can smile at anyone walking in hopes of them being there the next day to see it again. But I also think it's scary that you can have such a presence in someone's life with just a simple smile. I think about how much you could mean to a person if you went beyond a simple smile and spent time with them. Honestly, this way of thinking has given me a goal to be someone who can walk down the street. Oh, wait, did I? No. Okay. Sorry. Similar line. Sorry. Honestly, this way of thinking is giving me a goal to be someone who can walk down a street and just be able to smile, giving people a boost they might need. If I can do that, I hope to spend time with some of those people to be as active as possible of just being there for people, even if I met them walking down the street earlier today. I feel like so many people don't realize the amount of power they have to cheer people up. Instead, so many people consider the power in the political world, and I find that kind of sad, especially when you think about those in higher powers. Um, Sometimes don't do anything for anyone else. It's honestly a topic I feel like more people should think about and put into action, but that's just my thoughts on this. The topic is interesting that this can be perceived in so many ways I might not even think of. Here, I, so I'm here asking what your guys' thoughts are on this topic, and who knows if you enjoy it, I might write another topic that I have in my head somewhere. From Stephen.
That's awesome, Stephen. You have such a big heart, and I think that's really great. I think that one, you're definitely right about smiling. I remember huge culture shock when I was living in Michigan and I moved to Colorado, and I entered the gas station, Colorado, and for the first time, someone smiled at me in a gas station before I smiled at them, and I was like, people smile here? What the? Because I'm used to smiling at people. I was brought up to smile at people. And that it's a very good thing to do and it's important. And you're absolutely right. But man, it's a culture shock. Sometimes it not only just lifts people's mood, it just shocks them. Like, whoa, someone just smiled at me. Whoa, hold on. I gotta wrap my head around this. I can really, really get them out of their head for a second, and really, like you said, boost their day for doing that. So I think this is a very, very great thing to talk about. And I think, honestly, it speaks a lot to your heart that you not only do you want to help people out and you want to, rather, it's not only that you just want to help people out, your focus is on people. And even into something as simple as a smile, you consider a very important task that you have the honors of doing, and that you are basically calling other people towards as well. I think it speaks a lot to your heart and to your soul. So anyways, I'm going to give it over to Joe and see what he's got to say about the topic.
Yes, well, I am with Ryan on this, Stephen. You definitely have a tremendous heart. And, you know, like, I appreciate you so much. But I got to tell you, you're right about this, too. This whole smiling business. It's amazing. You know, you talked about saving someone's life with a smile, and you might just do that. Somebody might be walking down the street thinking, you know, they're completely useless, that their life isn't worthwhile, that they just would be better off without being around, that nobody benefits from their existence, you know, that to remove themselves from the equation would be in everybody's best interest. And we can, you know, like in a state of depression, we can easily logic ourselves into that frame of mind. You know, it happens. And for someone to simply smile, what does a smile say? It says a lot of things, and it depends on the smile. Now, the smiles you're talking about, like that smile says, it says to the recipient,
says, run.
You should get away from me. Is what that one says.
My favorite smile ever.
Yep. Or you can smile with your mouth and look angry with your eyes. You know, like that's weird. So it's not just turning the corners of your mouth up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's got to be from inside. You got to smile from your gut.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to smile from deep down inside. Like, generate the smile. I remember reading this book. I think it was How to Have Power and Confidence in Dealing with People by Les Giblin, or How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People, right? And he talks about that. He talks about the art of smiling and how you generate the energy from deep down in like your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like you smile from in there. And then you don't even have to have the corners of your mouth turned up.
Right.
You could look like this. You know, and it's still because the rest of your face is smiling. You know, it just, that's how it works. So you generate that from deep within. And that's the real smile. And what that smile tells somebody is, I affirm your existence. I acknowledge you. I acknowledge that you're here. And it might say something like, you're important. You are worth smiling at. I mean, because imagine, most of the world smiling? Well, maybe in Colorado.
Only in Colorado.
In Michigan? Nah. No.
You know.
Not even close, right? You almost got to force people to. You know, I had the other day, I went to the gas station. You know, I go up to the attendant person inside, you know, and I'm like, you know, such and such amount on whatever pump and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, and I was like, so you having fun in here today? And the answer was, huh.
That's a good answer.
That was answer.
It. H-E-H.
She's like, huh. And it took a little while, and I was like, "Wow, that much, huh?" Like,
like, 3 letters worth, huh?
I'm out of here in an hour and 16 minutes, but I'm not really counting. And I'm like, okay. And then I had another thing. It amazes me how many things you get carded for nowadays. When I first started getting ID'd for things, it was always just things that could harm you, like alcohol and tobacco and stuff like that. Those were the things you got carded for. Now it's like fuel treatment, which I guess if you drank it, it would harm you. You know, like there's all kinds of things. A lot of things that come in aerosol cans, you get carded for. You know, like they check your IDs for all this stuff. So I was, you know, buying either some fuel treatment or something, and they're like, okay, they knew I was over 18, right? So they're just like, what's your birth date? I got to put your birth date in here, right? I said 2/22/78. And then she's like, okay, she typed it in, and I'm like, still 29. And she just started cracking up. She was like, I'm like, yep, I've been 29 14 times. She's like, yeah.
You broke her. Nicely done, man.
But she was not happy before I got there. And I'm not saying it was me that made her happy. You know, and who knows? But if we can give a moment to these people, it might, like Steven is saying, it might just save their life. It might just be enough that it turns the table, that they're not going to give up today. And maybe today was point break. If that's a thing. The breaking point. Point break is something else.
Point break sound cool. I got you.
Yeah. Anyway. Maybe today was going to be it. And that one moment flipped it enough. And so we never know the impact we might have. Because it might not be for that person. We might smile at a guy who was really having a rough day. Maybe he got fired from his job. He's trying to figure out what to do. You know, maybe he's on his way home and he's trying to figure out how he's going to pay for the bills. And, you know, like the mortgage is behind, and some bald property inspector came by today and took pictures of his house, and his wife called him about it. And he lost his job, and now they can't pay the mortgage. And like, maybe this guy's just all this stress, right? And maybe you smile at him and it lightened it. Maybe you might not even notice it in that person. He might just glance over and be so consumed with his thoughts that you don't notice a change in him. But maybe you lifted his mood enough that night when his kid was acting up, he didn't beat his kid. So you might have saved the kid. You never know. The ripple effect can go on and on and on. You lift someone else's mood, they might lift someone else's mood. So maybe the life you save isn't that person, but you got them to smile, and now they're feeling nice, and then they run into the person who is going to kill themselves and save their life. But it was because you smiled at them. See the chain reaction? That's the thing about love and goodness and all these things like that. They're free to us. You know, to fill our heart with love for another person, to get ourselves to smile. The cool thing is, we will feel better as a result. When you get yourself to smile, a real smile, you feel better. I dare you to try it. I dare you to try it. Yep. And if you come back and you find out, you know what, I smiled, I did the real smile like you were talking about, and I still felt crummy. I
felt worse.
Yeah, I felt worse.
That's not going to happen.
It's not. Nope. But so you're going to feel better. And in turn, you're going to pass that along. It's like lighting candles. You know, they talk about, you know, if you light a candle with another candle, that candle still has its fire, all of it. But it lit that other candle, and now that other candle has just as much, maybe even more. My brother always got the big burning candles when we would go to the candlelight services at church at Christmas time. You know, I'd always have this tiny little bleep of a flame on mine, and he'd have this torch thing. It'd burn his candle down in like 4 seconds, you know.
That's great.
I'd be sitting there with my little pea-shaped, you know, little circular flame. You know, it's really bad when the flame is round.
Yeah.
because it's really small, right?
Yeah, you aren't putting out enough oxygen, man.
I guess so. Either that, I don't know what was going on. But it always seemed to be that way. It was really weird. But anyway,
brother's an oxygen vacuum.
Must be.
I don't know.
Oh, but that flame seems so cute. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. It's so cute and doesn't light up hardly anything.
All right, continue on. Sorry.
Anyway, Stephen, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because I know Ryan's got some good stuff to say about this. So, Ryan, take it away.
Yeah. When you were telling those stories, I was reminded of a time I used to, when I was in Colorado. See, this probably wouldn't work very well in Michigan, but when I was in Colorado,
every story Ryan has now. When I was in Colorado.
Yeah, apparently. When I was in Colorado. Yeah. When I was in Michigan and Colorado. So anyways, everything's about Colorado, man. Shut up. This is my time. Stop laughing. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, don't laugh at my jokes. This is my time to talk.
Yes. My jokes are not supposed to be funny.
That sounds like a line of a movie.
I was joking. Don't laugh.
I was joking. Don't. Okay. Anyways, sorry guys. So when I was in Colorado, I used to do inspections, so I was driving around a lot. Every once in a while, I'd get in a traffic jam, right? And it was a traffic jam where you'd go this way, and the other lane over is coming at you. Okay. And both people are in a traffic jam, or you're sitting at a light, but the light's your cars are kind of close enough to, like, when you pass people, you're whatever. So when I was passing people going slow, I would look into their windshield, like through my forward facing windshield into theirs, wave and smile as they were passing. Then I would look in the rearview mirror, and the person behind me would start smiling and waving. because I caused them to think that they were being smiled and waved at. Even though the person... Isn't that awesome? Yeah. I would smile and wave at a car. They would smile and wave back at me as we were passing each other. So this car's like, oh, they're smiling and waving at me. So they'd smile back and wave. And I'm just like, yes. And I'd see how far the chain would go. And I'm looking in the rearview mirror as it's happening. It was awesome.
And then poof,
and
you run into the car.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm like, oh, I did that. No, I accept the charge. Yes, I know you ran into me, but I made you smile and wave. But anyways, no, I thought that was awesome. So the idea of like having a chain reaction, you smile to someone, it brightens their day, and then they do that to somebody else. It's true, and it's true almost immediately. I remember actually doing that in gas stations too, walking by someone, smiling at them and just kind of giving a nod or a wave, and they would smile back, and it was awesome. And a lot of times when you smile at somebody, that's just almost a natural reaction for them to smile back. A smile, like Joe was saying, it tells them like, hey, you're important. It also tells them like, hey, I like you. Mm-hmm. Even though like, you're in school, you see some kid, you rarely see him, but he smiles at you. You feel liked by that person, don't you? That person makes you feel liked a lot. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wow, someone likes me. It makes you want to get to know that person. And it makes you feel loved. And it makes you think your day's better. It makes you have a better day. And so I remember going through the gas station and smiling at someone, and they would smile back because it just kind of comes out of them. And then I would look wherever they walked to. And usually the person, like, even though like it wasn't like quite a chain like that, like I was tricking people, but I would watch that person and they would smile at the next person they saw. Even though like they might not, they passed a person, I watched them pass it, neither of them smiled. I smile at the dude, he starts smiling, then he smiles at the next dude. What's that tell me? It tells me that, hey, smiling works. It lightens people's moods. It reminds people to check their attitude. One of the things I say a lot is like when someone asks me, hey, how are you? I always respond positively. Why? Not because I'm being insincere, but because when someone says, how are you? I go, Ryan, hey, attitude check. How's your attitude? And I go, let's make it good. So how you doing? Oh, I'm doing real good. I'm doing great. Doing fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I mean it because that's the attitude I want to choose. Because you have the right to your own attitude. You get to pick. You get to decide. I know that's not always easy, but when someone attitude checks you, with a smile, because sometimes that's what it is. Someone smiles at you and it's just like an immediate attitude check. You're like, do I have a bad attitude? Did I have a frown on my face? Shoot. Yeah, because I'm going through something. I need to smile back. I don't want to let that guy down. He's like, I don't want to leave him hanging, So I think smiling is a very, very beautiful thing. And I think you're right, Stephen. It could save a life for sure. It could do so much. And it could brighten someone's day, change their attitude. And that has compounding effects for the rest of their life. So even just a smile. Now take that into every day of your life, bringing that to everybody in every day of your life that you can. That's huge. And that's something that's worth doing. I say a lot that we're here to do good, right? The most fulfilling things you will do in life, the things that make you feel the most fulfilled in life ever, if you want to feel fulfilled, if you want to be happy, those things, the things that make you feel the most out of life are the things that are good. It's when you choose to do something good, whether it be good for yourself or good for someone else. And smiling is a good thing. You're living it out, even just through a smile. Because your intentions are good. Your actions are good, because a smile is an action, right? And it reciprocates good. Now, there are times where you'll smile at somebody and they'll just give you a stern, I'm not smiling back kind of look.
They have to try, they have to put in effort to not smile back. They do. They have to kind of like check themselves.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, what's up? Like, whoa, dude! Like, you just went through something. I'm gonna leave you alone. No, I mean, not like you just went. Like, you just went through something. I saw that emotion.
Right.
I saw that thought process. No, sometimes people are like that. Don't let it make you go, oh, I'm not supposed to smile at people. That's what that person wants you to think. Like, don't smile at me. You're terrible for smiling. I'm having a bad day. Let me have a bad day.
Yeah.
You're a terrible person.
Well, yeah.
Oh, you're happy? There's
you're having a bad day. Yeah, exactly. When you're having a bad day, the worst thing in the world is a happy person.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes that's the truth.
When you want to be having a bad day, I guess. Anyway, sorry.
But don't be afraid to attitude check them. Don't be afraid to smile at them and make them feel good. Because here's the thing. Even through envy and despise of that person, you smiled at them, they can't deny that you made them stand out, that you took a moment. You took a moment and focused on them with a smile. They can't deny that. They know it happened, and they feel good. Deep inside, those people that feel envious, yeah, they do feel envious. They do feel that hate, that rage. But they also feel like you cared about them for a second.
Mm-hmm.
They also look at you and go, oh, that person, he's such a goody two-shoe, blah, blah, blah. And later on in life, they'll think, maybe I should be that way. Mm-hmm. He seemed happier than me. So don't let those people stop you from smiling. Because sometimes it takes a couple of years to settle in. Sometimes your smile can take a couple of years to settle in. It's true. They might not even remember your face. They don't not remember the time it happened. But they remember someone smiled at them and that they seemed happy. Maybe they need to do the same. So keep on smiling, my man. Stay awesome, Steven. Did you have anything else you want to add, Joe?
Yeah, that old slogan, the life you might save might be your own. If you keep smiling, you're going to cultivate good feelings of love and acceptance and, empowerment and all these things, right? You're going to cultivate these inside you and you're going to transfer them to other people. We transfer a feeling to other people, whether we know it or not. We do.
Mm-hmm.
If we're, grumpy, the people we come into contact with, we will transfer the feeling of grumpy.
Yeah, I'm really receptive to those things too. Mm-hmm. I don't feel grumpy, but like when people are grumpy, I just like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. They're just wrecking the mood of everything inside of me right now.
Yeah. Oh, we got some good comments in the chat. Shade says, I once had someone talking about how they like to smile because it makes other people smile and then everyone is happy. I didn't smile, so they continued to poke my face. Said, your face is squishy.
Your face is squishy.
Did that get you to smile?
That's great.
That's funny, though. And Steven says, I remember I got him to smile. Yes, good. I remember I talked to this elder guy walking his dogs, and I said hi and smile. And for a good 15 minutes, we walked and talked till we went different paths. That was a great time. And the dogs were cute, too. That's awesome.
That's great.
But these are the things, right? And I think I've said this on a previous episode, but people would love, a lot of times, we would love someone to talk to. We would love to have a new friend. Who wouldn't? I mean, think about your friends. Do you feel good about your friends? Wouldn't it be cool if there was another person who was your friend? Some people are like, nope, I got enough friends.
Yeah.
I understand.
My issue is time. I'm like, I don't have time for another one.
I don't have time for any more friends.
Shoot.
but the thing is, okay, or at least people that you are friendly with. So say it's somebody that works.
I'm just kidding. I make friends with everybody.
I know. But everybody craves that. Everybody wants somebody in their life that makes them feel accepted, that makes them feel like they're wanted, like they're loved, like they're appreciated. All these things, right? We can do that with a smile. And like you said, Stephen, you said hi and you smiled. And then you talked to him for a good 15 minutes. You guys made friends with each other. If you run into each other again, you'll probably talk some more.
Mm-hmm.
That's how friendships work, right? And it's great to have friends. And, everybody craves that, but hardly anybody really knows how to take the initiative, like Stephen's describing here. And maybe they know how to do it, but they're too wrapped up in what's going on, or, they're too just focused on, the problems they have to solve or whatever. I've been there so many times in my life, I can't even count them, where I've got complex issues going on and I'm just so focused on trying to work it all out in my head. I'm not even looking up at people. Partly also because I'm an introvert and I don't usually want to talk to people anyway. Right? I just want to go to Walmart, buy my chips, and go home. Like, that's it. But, like, those moments when we can kindle a friendship, when we can start a friendship, it might not go very far at that point in time. You had a 15-minute conversation with this guy. That's a lot longer than most of the conversations I have with people that, when I have smiled and, said hi to them, it usually only lasts for, 30 seconds. But we walk away with good feelings about the situation, right? We walk away with good feelings about the other person and good feelings about ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's a valuable thing. And I also wanted to emphasize another word in your topic here, Stephen, and that is, you said saving a person's life with a simple smile or hello. And the word is simple. Sometimes we place less value on things because they're simple. But in reality, many times, the simplest things are the most meaningful. They're the most valuable, even though they might not cost as much. They might be one of the most valuable things you have. And a smile is one of those. I'll tell you what, I have a tool like that, actually. Always brings a smile to my face. It's a triangular scraper.
For your car, for snow?
For everything.
Uh-huh.
It's a tool. I don't have it with me. It's about, it's got a handle on it that's about a couple inches long, and then the blade on it is triangular. It's like a pyramid shape, and it's triangular, and it's a couple inches long.
Is it made out of metal?
It is made out of metal. The handle is made out of wood. The blade part's made out of metal. It's like $10. And I have used it on virtually every project. I got it when I was an instrument repairman. I've used it on my car. I've used it on woodworking projects. I've used it on instruments, like not band instruments, but like my guitar. I've used it on my keyboard. I've used it on virtually anything I was doing that needed a tool. I've used this thing, and it's crazy. But it's really simple. It's just a handle with a little triangular blade that sticks out of it. And I was telling my friend about it because Steve from A Single Duel, I showed him a picture because I had the back end of my wife's van all torn apart, right? Because I was repairing something. And sure enough, guess what tool I eventually found myself using? That little scraper. Because I'm scraping stuff off to get this connection to work right again because the new one didn't quite fit the old one, so it had a little too much plastic on it, so I had to scrape some of the plastic off to get the clip to work right and everything like that. And I was holding it up in front of that, torn apart back end of the van because it was the rear blower motor, right, that was replacing. So they will appreciate this. But anyway, he's like, "What is that tool?" I sent him the picture. He's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Only the most useful tool I've ever had ever in my life, ever."
Ever in my life, ever.
He's like, "I want it." I'm like, "You can't have it. It's mine."
I want one, not yours.
So I sent him a link on Amazon. I was like, "The most useful tool ever, like $10 or $11 or however much it was." He's like, "I'm buying one."
That's great.
He doesn't even know yet. He doesn't know what he's about to experience with this thing, right?
It reminds me of a putty knife, the way you described it.
Oh yeah. Well, putty knife isn't nearly as useful.
I believe you. Something that reminds you of one.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever.
Neither here nor there.
It's not triangular and flat.
Like
the whole thing. Like if you look at it, like if I'm looking at it like this, where it's pointed at me, I see a triangle. And it's a solid triangle all the way back, right? So
Got it.
It's a three-sided blade.
Okay. Yeah. I have seen that before.
That is the most useful tool I've ever had. Anyway, very, very simple. Most useful tool ever in my life. Absolutely. Yep. Ever in my life. Ever. You forgot it, ever.
Yeah, there's another ever. I thought there were 3 evers in there, if anything.
There might be. I don't know.
No.
But the point of the story wasn't the tool. The point of the story is simple. Saint Therese of Lisieux. Here we are going back to, religious stuff. She was a nun in France. I think France.
Yes.
And she died very, very young age. And she is now she's one of the most venerated, most respected saints in the list of saints. A lot of people, man. I mean, she is so respected. You know what her motto was? She called herself the Little Flower. Maybe other people called herself the Little Flower. She was like, "I'm going to do little things the best that I can for God." Simple little things that have the biggest impact. And it shows. It showed in her life. It shows in the simplicity of that tool I was talking about. And it shows, Stephen, in your topic, the simplicity of a smile. How impactful the simple things are. And I really appreciate you bringing this up, Stephen. And I can't wait to hear the next topics that you have for us, because I like the way you think, my friend. And yeah, this is great. So anyway, that's what I got. Ryan, take us away.
Perfect. Well, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So I think that's a perfect time to close it down with what you said. I think, Stephen, thank you so much. That was a great topic. And like Joe said, I'm excited to hear if you've got any more for us. Because we don't have to just deal with, we've done topics like this before where someone just throws a topic at us and we can cover it. We can talk about it for a while. And we can give our experiences on it. So, but yeah, thank you so much, Stephen. And thank you everybody in the chat. You guys have been very talkative today, and it's been great. I love seeing what you guys have to say. And I especially love when you guys are helping each other out, adding to what we're saying, increasing the wisdom of everybody around you. So keep it up. You guys are awesome and funny. So yeah.
There you go. There's a link to the tool.
There you go. That's the general purpose tool. It's a scraper.
That's it.
There you go. Guess what you can do with it?
Everything.
Probably lots of stuff.
Oh my gosh. It's so useful. Anyway. Sorry.
Awesome. No, it's good. I think it's a great point, because it is like a simple tool. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, you can find rocks kind of like that, but that's simple.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for being on the show with us. We love you all. Thank you, Princess, for helping us with the show, making everything on the back end flow correctly. Thanks, Joe, for sharing all your wisdom. And thank you guys in the chat. And we will see you next Wednesday on Don't Worry Wednesday.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you all. Peace.